Welcome back to the Success Playbook, powered by Expertrons and Shine, where we uncover the journeys of founders, innovators, and creators reshaping India's future. Today's guest is someone who has built one of the most unique, purpose driven, and futuristic startups in India, a venture that merges technology, dharma, sustainability, farmers' welfare, and wealth creation all in one. Please welcome Dr. Arjun Sharma, founder and CEO of Gomini. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, Jatin. Thank you for having me here. How are you?
I'm doing good. It's really good to see how you've created Gomini, and it's an amazing platform. It's India's first platform for cow preservation, wealth generation platform powered by blockchain, IoT,
Yep.
and AI. Already impacting 150 plus farmers and 400 urban owners, and it is actually building a new economic model based on
Yep.
prosperity and purpose. I mean, how are you kind of putting all of it together? How is it going?
It's going beyond our imagination, as in we didn't think that it will be this big of a hit. The pipelines are budging, Jatin, and really didn't, expect this kind of a positive response from the day one itself. The concept was well taken, and I think people were waiting for it.
Wow. That's really well put. I mean, of course, what you started with, or what the idea which with which you started, and kind of putting purpose behind an idea and something which people need, is something, of course, kind of gives a really good impact, and really good to see the response you're getting. Arjun,
Correct. Yeah.
before we, of course, get right into it, let's just start with some fun questions. So if Gomini was a movie genre, would it be like a mythology, science fiction, or both?
Interesting question. I would say it's an ancient mythology in its soul, okay, and a hard sci-fi in its tech, like Ramayana written on blockchain, that
Wow.
kind of thing.
Written on
Yep.
blockchain. Wow.
Yep.
Very interesting. What's the funniest reaction you've received when someone hears digital cow ownership?
Yeah, one of the funny thing what I heard was, why will the cow come out of the Wi-Fi if I press the wrong button? So, yeah,
I think it's great that you have only heard that question. I mean,
yeah.
else people would have actually expected digital milk the next day. So I
Oh,
think
yeah.
it's better than it's better than expecting that from digital cow ownership. So I think
Right.
I think you'll get that question also very soon.
Sure.
So if you had to describe yourself as a cow breed, which one would that be and why?
I'd say I'm a gear, calm on the surface, resilient in the climate, and built for the long-term performance and not for the short sprint. I'd say
Wow.
I'm a gear. Yeah.
Wow, very interesting. So you are a social innovator with a mission to transform how India sees cows, farmers, prosperity. But like, where did all this begin? What was the turning point that inspired you to build Gomini?
Yeah, it began with some interesting opportunity which came in front of me from one of the disciples of Rajat Dikshit ji. And I started keeping a thought on it to scale it into a model. But then, as a Hindu, I always visit gausalas, and I have been doing so. I visited close to 1,000 plus gausalas. The murkiest thing what I noticed was watching a pure desi cow being sold out just for the survival money of the gaushala. And I realized the sentiment without a business model will never save our cows. And that was
Yeah.
the trigger point that you have to have an economic model.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, very interesting, and that completely makes sense. Like anything which has to kind of be sustainable has to,
Yeah.
for sure, has a have a business model
Right.
as its foundation. Because if there is no business model, there's no sustainability. So that's
True.
very important. So did people initially understand the idea, or like did you face resistance while this
Yeah.
was happening?
Yeah, most people thought it was just another charity, and some even thought that it's a crypto scheme because we talked about blockchain extensively.
Yeah.
People thought that it's a crypto scheme or something, but it took time to show them that it's not actually something like that. It's economic engine with Dharma at its core. Yeah,
Right, right. Amazing. So
yeah,
yeah, that always happens. Like when you come up with something innovative,
Yeah,
there are always people questioning what is this, and is there a scheme behind it, or is this really something which has an impact as well as the business motive for it. So
true.
what was the
Yeah.
first big validation moment where you thought like this is going to be huge?
I would say when the first set of urban adopters and the farmers call the same pilot. We did pilots, okay? So the one word which came from them was life changing for completely different reasons, okay? Like for urban adopters, it was like connecting to the root, while
Right.
for the farmer, it was, people in villages earn 2,000, 3,000 rupees a month, right? And you create an economic system where they get up to 15, 20,000 rupees a month. That's a great thing for them.
Right.
So that's where we were like, we are hitting a jackpot here. We are doing something big.
Wow,
Yeah.
wow. No, that's very interesting. If it is kind of solving a huge challenge for the farmers, it is actually working in the favor of the cows, and like while doing so, it is also
Yeah.
kind of being a really good sustainable business model and being able to connect all the urban folks to their roots. So
Yeah.
that's nothing like it. I think it is kind of putting all of it together, and you're also on a massive mission of like preserving indigenous breed,
Yeah.
impacting farmers' income. Can we kind of talk about some numbers? Like what is the mission which you're looking at with Gomini, and of course you have already done like 150 farmers. You have already touched 400 plus urban families. So
Mhm.
what's your goal to do in the next few years in terms of say total cows, farmers
Mhm.
impacted, or the revenue goal? So what's the mission you have in mind?
Uh, so the mission at the core of Gomini's heart is to preserve indigenous cows at scale, okay?
Right,
And turn the preservation into predictable prosperity for both the rural and urban stakeholder using the
makes sense.
transparent technology. That's our mission.
Makes sense.
When it comes to the number, we were trying to be humble for the first 5 years and then have a greater success rate because the cow has a reproductive rate. If you have a herd of cow, it
Right,
multiplies by 50% next year. So we thought we will have humble growth in the first 5 years, and that humble targets are not looking that big, but it's humongous to consider as the unit of cows. I think we'll be touching close to 2,000 plus farmers on board with us in the next 2 years, with 10,000 plus cow roughly on chain on
wow.
the blockchain. Yeah. I think the revenue numbers could be closer to 200 to 300 crores.
Wow, wow,
Yeah.
wow. That's amazing. I think that sounds really enticing.
Mm.
Sounds really interesting. How do you kind of do that if we have to just talk about the blockchain bit and the cow bit?
Hmm.
So how do you kind of put that together? Of course, that comes from your background in technology.
Hmm.
You have worked extensively in the US. You have kind of built successful ventures in the past. So if you can even also touch base on some of that part, and how did you
Yeah.
kind of think of integrating
Hmm.
a thing like cow to blockchain, like you never
Right.
hear these two words together in a sentence. So
Correct.
like how did you kind of think of kind of putting these two things
Yeah.
together?
So, if you're aware of software, why software boomed so much was its replicating factor. You
Right,
produce one software and then you copy paste, right?
right,
You replicate. So the input cost is once and then you sell it multiple times.
right,
Now, in
right,
the case of cows, that multiplication factor is in your advantage, and a cow multiplies, right?
right,
It's an asset which it can be multiplied.
right,
So that's where was the core of the thing that, hey, cow is an asset.
right,
It's producing multiple capitals over time. On an
right,
average, a cow produces close to 9 to 10 calves.
right,
Okay. If you use science, you can produce 9 out of 10 female calves, right?
right.
Using sorted semen and all that. So with that maths and everything, it added up that, hey, cow is a great asset to be tokenized. All we need is to link the productivity to the revenue per cow so that you
Right.
can do a unit economic method. So milk is something you can track with the IoT devices,
Wow.
right?
Yeah.
And the RFID collar links to the milking machine can give you the exact output of a cow. We were
Right.
able to do that. So we
Right.
were like able to track how much yield a cow is generating. And that's how we were able to do. And then once the cow produces another calf, that's an asset created which can be monetized. So it's as
Wow.
simple as that.
Wow.
Now, with indigenous cows, you just don't have milk, you also have cow dung and cow urine, which is a buffer.
Yeah.
Now, what we learned from, our scientists and everything, that the cow dung and cow urine has a larger economy than milk.
Oh, wow.
So milk became
Interesting.
the byproduct for us, and we started
Yeah.
primarily working on cow dung and cow
Yeah.
urine.
Yeah.
And we were able to create really good numbers. I think we touched close to 7.5 lakh per cow per year during
Wow.
our experiment phases. But at a scale, I would say we can average that down to 3.5 lakh rupees of revenue per cow, which
Wow.
is very good numbers only
Wow.
for indigenous cow. It cannot
Wow.
be done with buffaloes. It cannot be done with the foreign breeds. It can only be done with desi cows.
Wow. Wow. That's
Yeah.
very interesting. And that's like I am assuming that's the reason, like, why is like preserving indigenous cow so critical right now? Like, because is there
Yeah.
like, yeah, if you can touch
Okay.
base on, yeah.
Yeah. So there was a survey done on the indigenous cattle in 1950. We had 210 breeds, if I can remember well. 210 distinct breeds were identified in 1950.
Okay.
If you look at the latest survey in 2019, they talk about 27 odd indigenous breed. Okay.
Okay.
Uh, in the last 6 years, a lot of breeds are identified. Right now, that number is sitting at close to 50, 44, 50. Okay.
Okay.
Still, if you see, there is a great decline, right? And now, if we don't focus on this, a lot of these breeds are on extinction level, right? And if we lose them, we lose the nutrition, A2 nutrition,
Mm,
and soil healing Panchgavya,
mm,
climate resilience genetics, and a huge piece of India's cultural and economic heritage,
mm,
right? And the
mm,
future, of course. So, India being an agrarian society primarily, because India lives in the villages, right?
mm,
Not in the urban center primarily, and majority of the populations are agrarian in nature.
mm.
If you lose these indigenous cattle, you lose the capacity of natural farming and organic farming.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, oh. That's so critical to kind of preserve.
Yes.
I mean, not only kind of. I mean, the cow preservation has a lot to do with preserving our farming resources as
Exactly.
well, and even the livelihoods of the farmers, because I think
True.
there's a lot of our economy which is dependent on farmers' economy. So that's really critical. And of course you have kind of integrated technology so well into all of this, including how you spoke about how you integrated blockchain, IoT sensors. All of that of course brings a lot of transparency into the system. And like, how are you kind of putting all of it together? Even how does the user digitally track cows yield, health, and their life? So how are you kind of bringing that transparency into the whole ecosystem? Yeah.
Uh, Yeah. First of all, every cow gets a unique NFT identity, like a
Okay.
non-fungible token identity. The
Okay.
IoT devices and the entire smart contracts, the revenues, everything is linked to that NFT itself.
Okay.
Okay. So
Okay.
if you get the milk output, that is linked to this NFT. So you know the yield of that cow. So our app, you can see the live health scores, milk yields,
Hmm.
logs, life cycle milestones, rituals, and everything. So what we call our app as a health and prosperity dashboard.
Hmm.
Basically, you see
Hmm.
all the metrics, you see the health of the cow, and we're also enabling live view of the cow. So we are working on the tech of computer vision, where you can identify your cow and you can focus on your cow directly in the app.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. Wow. So that's very interesting, because I mean, just being able to see where I have kind of put money and is it going in the right use, and having such a transparent view of the yield of the cow and everything going on with the cow's health dashboard. So that this sounds really interesting, and anyone who would basically be investing in it would of course want to get all of this transparently available. So
Yeah.
really good job at kind of putting all of it together at Gomini. I'm sure you and your entire team would have put hours of work behind kind of getting something like this live, because this
Yeah.
was even beyond imagination. No one, I don't think anyone cared for it so much, or even cared for to think of solving for this problem. So this sounds very very interesting. And how is this making cow preservation scalable? Like how because I think of course Gomi is on that mission of cow preservation. So kind of integrating technology, bringing in money? So how you kind of and are there actual stats on because now you have already worked with some farmers, some cows, some families, and all of that. So are there some examples from your working experience that how is it also helping in cow preservation? So how is that happening? Yeah.
Yeah. So I think by turning the cow into transparent digital asset with the built-in incentives, of course, we
Right.
can replicate the same model across hundreds of villages without
True.
losing the trust or the control. That's what was the core of the product, that how do we build the trust and the control? We keep the
Right.
governance piece
Right.
within the tight framework. And I think we were able to do fairly well. And now what we're doing is we are creating this decentralized clusters in every villages,
Right.
right? So we thought initially that we will just operate in Bihar for the first foreseeable 3 4 years, but
Right.
now what we are looking at, we are expanding to Maharashtra and Karnataka, right?
Wow.
The
Wow.
demands are coming in from the south a lot, and people want it there. So we are
Right.
developing ecosystems in Karnataka as well as in Maharashtra.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah,
No,
and
this
it
is
doesn't
this.
take much.
Wow, wow. No, this
Yeah.
is very interesting. Anyone who has moved away from their roots, from their cities, from their villages, like everyone, of course, have their hometown, home villages, and they have moved from there to an urban area and they've made wealth, and they still want
Hmm.
to be connected to their roots, and they still
Right.
want to kind of own, say, a land, own a cow, and that used to happen, right? I mean,
Yeah.
generations before us. I'm sure my ancestors in Rajasthan would have owned cattle and breeds like that, and same was true for you. And all
Right.
of us who have kind of course, moved away from the village life would still want to be connected to our roots. So it's kind of putting that thing together. It's kind of obvious that why is there a really good pull, and you thought
Yeah.
of kind of going deep in Bihar, and now you're being pulled into Maharashtra or southern states and everywhere. So this,
Yeah.
I think it is a natural demand for everyone to be connected to the roots and want to kind of opt for Gomini's offering. And they would there's also a connection of kind of getting connected to their own village, and that's why they want to kind of have you in those different villages. It is not only about cow
Correct.
ownership, but it is also about that I'm able to connect with my own root or my own village again. So that's all has been kind of put together really beautifully. And you're not just building an impact model, but you're also building a high ROI business opportunity. So what makes Gomini model a strong business for its partners, like anyone who want to partner with you, invest in you, want to become your franchise partner? So
Hmm.
can you walk through the model as well? And I can see the of course the investment. There's a whole range of investment. It starts from say 20 lakh and it goes 2 crores as well. Like you can actually own the entire farm as well. So what kind
Yeah.
of how does the model work? What kind of returns can the partner expect? If you can just broadly walk us through how, if someone who is believing in your vision and wants to participate and become your partner, so how can they
Yeah.
do that? Yeah, yeah,
So one of the best thing is for the partners, it's a handoff system. You don't
okay,
need to be present. We execute everything on your behalf. We
right,
select the land, we operate on the land and everything. Of course, for the larger models, there are people coming in with the large land parcels like 100 acres, 50
right,
acres, and all such parcels are available to us.
right,
For a particular investor, depending on the scale and the execution,
hmm,
our models are designed to roughly give you 20 to 30% annual ROI with
hmm,
bonuses and everything. If we look at all of that, I think you could easily get 20 to 25% of CAGR. And
wow,
we do not guarantee that number because it depends on what kind of execution we are doing in that particular cluster,
right,
right?
right,
So that's a variance. We do have minimum numbers, and on top of it, we have the other ROIs.
okay.
And with that, you can see the payback could be 3 to 5 years max,
Wow, wow,
right?
wow. That's very interesting. And why is now the perfect moment to kind of invest in indigenous cow wellness, and like what kind of support does
Hmm.
the partners can expect from Gomini? And of course, as you also said, like right in our conversation, you have already said that cow is a growing asset. So if you can kind of like what can a partner expect when they partner with Gomini? Yeah,
Right. It's a lifetime opportunity. So why now is because of the A2 dairy. It's picking up. The market
right,
demand is high. We are
Right.
seeing the organic farming is at 22% CAGR, I think, and the organic, the A2 dairy is at 18%. So,
Wow.
and then if you look at spiritual wellness and other things, it's compounding at once,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
whoever builds the trusted, traceable supply now will
Hmm.
own the category,
Hmm.
right? So
Hmm.
that's the moment that if you build a trusted, traceable supply now, you will own this category forever
Interesting.
or later. And then for the partners, it's totally a hands-off investment, right?
Wow.
You really don't need to open up a shop or something. We are
Yeah.
D2C on the distribution, and for the rearing and everything, we take care of the entire thing through our farming community. Yeah, it's a handoff, completely hands-off system. You invest and you just watch your investment grow.
Wow, wow. No,
Yeah.
that's very interesting. I've of course A2 milk is picking up, and I've now
Yeah.
also heard of a lot of this cow dung getting exported to other countries. And as you said, cow milk just becomes a byproduct. There is cow
Yeah.
dung, there's cow urine. So that like the number of revenue streams are also kind of multiple,
Good.
and that kind of and as you said, like the asset also keeps growing.
Yeah.
The asset, its underlying asset itself keep growing. So that's
Right.
like overall, of course, this is a
So,
very interesting opportunity. Yeah, you're saying
yeah,
something.
yeah. If I just add something to that,
Right,
let's say if you invest into a company is manufacturing some SKUs.
right,
What could be the maximum number of SKUs a company can produce? You could say maybe six, 10, a dozen max, right?
right.
A cow can produce 150 plus SKUs.
Wow, very interesting.
Yeah,
Milk
so
and milk products, you mean? Wow.
yes,
Wow. Wow.
milk, cow dung, and cow urine together they become part of the punch system,
Right.
and the recorded is 150 plus SKU, which
Wow.
is vetted by agencies and everything.
Very
Yeah,
interesting. Very
yeah,
interesting. Many of our listeners, of course, also who are early professionals, would want to become part of your social impact, how it is part agri-tech, part spirituality. What career roles are emerging in agri-tech and what young listeners should notice? So, any career
yeah.
roles they focus on? Yeah.
A lot. Agriculture is the hot space right now. If you can get in, just get in. While agriculture as a discipline, there are multiple things within agriculture sector, right? For
Hmm.
example, agri data scientist. You have data scientists, but agri data scientists are the roles. IoT farm operators, rural
Wow.
program managers, the FPO managers, the rural program managers, product managers for Bharat. Okay, that how what kind of processing you need to do, what kind of products you can create out of the system. Climate is something where you can become a specialist. So these are
Interesting.
exploding actually. There are a lot of aspects here. I think young entrepreneurs should actually go visit a farm or stay in a village and see
Right.
the opportunities are glowing.
Wow.
You have a lot of different roles to fill there.
Wow, wow. And what kind of skill sets or like mindset do you look for when you are hiring young talent at Gomini?
What we are looking at is first principles, and if you're willing to live and learn in the villages and are tech savvy and emotionally aligned to this particular mission of Bharat and its cows, is
Right.
what we are looking for.
Wow. Wow. And what
Yeah.
advice would you give to 20-year-old someone who wants to build something meaningful in this
Mhm.
space? What would be your advice?
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so we picked up Gomini 12, 13 years back, okay? So
Right.
similarly, I'll give you the same advice. Pick one real problem, and if you still care at 40, right? When you're 40, if you're still caring for it, go absolutely deep into it and commit to it for a 10-year journey instead of chasing the next shiny startup. Yeah, and that should help you out find your own mission.
Very interesting. And you're running a mission-driven brand. Of course, let's answer a few personal questions as well. What's
Sure.
one failure or setback that actually shaped your success?
My earlier startup taught me of great ideas without ruthless execution discipline, and unit economics are not just beautifully packaged hobby. So it's with one of the startup I can talk about it is was Share Wheels. It was one of India's first cab aggregator system, which we launched
Interesting.
before taxi for sure.
Right.
and we were doing roughly 7,000 taxis in Delhi NCR with 100,000 users.
Wow.
But when we looked at the bottom lines, they were not
Yeah.
good. Bottom
Yeah.
lines were very scary.
Yeah.
And what we looked at and we took a call is that, hey, this is not going to scale up. If we burn money like this, it's not going to scale up in a profitable startup.
Yeah.
So that's where we were ruthless in executing. We had 100,000 users in 18 months.
Yeah.
So obviously,
Wow.
when you have to do a startup, you have to be very ruthless in
Yeah.
executing it. I remember one of the statement from, I think one of the US Shark Tank member where they said Steve Jobs had 80% of his signals and 20% noise, while Elon Musk has 100% signals, right? So you have to focus on that. You have to
Yeah.
make your time count. Yep.
Interesting. This is very, very interesting. What does prosperity personally means to you?
Serve your dharma, take your bold bets, lift others up without constantly worrying about your EMIs, you know?
Very, very interesting. Very
Yeah.
interesting. Now, of course, let's do a rapid fire round as well. Fastest answer is, of course, what we
Okay.
expect. So no thinking. One word for the startup world.
Relentless.
Very interesting. Blockchain or AI? What excites you more?
Um, AI on top of real world data secured by blockchain. But I'll pick AI.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
one misconception people have about cows.
That they're not only about milk. They're
Very,
living biofactories for soil health, wellness, and cultural continuity.
very
Yeah.
true. Very true. And if Gomini had a tagline for Gen Zs, what would it
Oh
be?
yeah. Okay. Own a cow, upgrade your karma and your cash flows.
Very, very interesting.
Yeah.
If yeah, so who's the dream celebrity ambassador for Gomini?
Till now it's Dhoni. He's been popping up on our mind.
Very interesting. Very
Yep.
interesting. And one spiritual habit every young person should build.
10 minutes of silence without a screen, just watching your breath and your thoughts.
Wow.
Yeah.
And describe Gomini in one delicious line.
Okay. Just give me some moment to catch
Sure.
up, okay?
Sure.
It has to be delicious, right? Yeah. Okay. Go is where blockchain meets below to turn devotion into dependable cash flow. How's that?
Wow, very, very, very interesting. You've kind of put together
Yeah.
the whole purpose, and you've also put some ghee ka tadka on top of the line. So
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
very,
Yeah.
very interesting. So Arjun, this has been an eye-opening conversation. Of course, no one thinks of cow, agri-tech, and blockchain, and all of this kind of put together in a way you have thought of. And it's of course something you're doing in a very, very good way. You're building something so unique, a movement at the intersection of tradition, technology, prosperity. To our listeners, if you want to be part of Gomini's mission, whether as a cow owner, a franchise partner, or someone who is looking for a meaningful entrepreneurship, this is your moment. You're not just investing in a business, you're investing in a legacy, sustainability, and India's cultural roots. All details to connect with Gomini will be in the description. Thank you, Arjun, for joining us on Success Playbook. And this is going to be one of the most shared episodes, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Thanks for being part of the podcast.
Thank you, Jatin. Thank you very much.